It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazawey. Let's talk some sports.
Let's talk some sports. It is Tuesday, November 8th, 2022. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. Braylon Edwards, so great to be back with you this afternoon. How are you, my friend?
First of all, it's good to see you as well.
Absolutely.
I saw you Saturday, and we'll get into that, what we were doing up there in Ann Arbor. So good to see you, my friend. But I'm a little downtrodden. I'm a little depressed. You know, I had to take some time to myself to be ready to do the show today. You know, I stayed in my car a little bit as I got here and just, you know, listened to some Wale, which I listen to when I want to smooth out, relax the mind, and let the conscience breathe, you know. And the reason why is because, you know, I found out around 10 a.m. that, you know, the thing I thought was going to change my life, which was my lottery ticket. And I had 10 numbers, and I was so excited. And then the drawing got pushed back to today, so I still had hope because we're waiting for Minnesota to, you know, get their numbers over.
You believe that?
And 100% it's BS. Like and then to find out this morning that the winner was at Joe's service station, which is about a mile from the Griffin Observatory in L.A., the infamous, you know, one of the wonders of the United States of America, and then one block over from Hollywood Boulevard. Something smells fishy. So, you know, I took time. I know that this isn't going to be the one to do it, but I'm living a damn good life, so I didn't need this anyway.
Tom Mazawey, Powerball drawing. It happened this morning, actually, because of a clerical error in the state of Minnesota.
They were still celebrating the win over the Commodores.
So a single ticket has been won. $2.04 billion in the jackpot for the Powerball. The ticket sold, as Braylon said, Joe's Service Center in Altadena, California, Los Angeles County, according to the California Lottery. Winning numbers again, 10, 33, 41, 47, 56, and 10. My goodness.
I'm done spending, wasting money. Thank God.
What a waste.
I put my last $2 in last night on my way out of Kroger. They had the machine there. Put the $2 in, punch yourself out a ticket. That was it. I'm done. My Jersey family, they all chipped in, so I had to chip in. We all played $10 each the last few draws. It's just a throwaway.
What a racket.
I wish I had that $42 back now.
I'm so upset because I never get involved in the lottery.
Either.
Just never play lottery. It's just not worth it. Black people don't win the lottery, and no one ever wins anyway that you know. So it's
neither do the white people I know.
Neither to the Arabs I know.
Well, at least you guys got some winners in there somewhere. I was just joking, by the way. No, but
so was I.
Hey man, don't come back with that BS, man. No, but it's like you don't get involved. You don't get that way. You don't get hooked. You don't get to become a consistent guy at the Joe's gas station or Joe's service station, spending 10 to 15 to 12. So I didn't. Now I did once, and now I'm mad because I want to spend more money to lose more. I'm glad somebody picked those numbers. I tell you.
No doubt about it.
Did you get any numbers right?
Yes, I ripped my ticket up, but I did get two of the white balls. Pause. No homo. So
no, not white.
Well, yeah, two. I got you get $14 for that, something like that. Yeah,
Well, you ripped your ticket up already.
But yeah, I don't care about
you ripped the top of it.
I don't care about that. The scan part still works.
Okay.
The barcode still works. Now, I think I won $14, and then I got the Powerball right on one of them. So, but yeah,
get you a tank of gas. Get you a gallon of gas in California.
Not in this.
Oh man, guys, I missed you yesterday. I had some previous things going on at Fox yesterday that I could not get out of, and thanks to Stick for filling in. We've got a great show for you today. Plenty of Lions talk. Got to get it into the college football playoff. Jim Harbaugh in the news today as it relates to the NFL and all that. But we are going to start with those Lions, guys. And this was funny. I saw this, and Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, it was a disaster for Aaron Rodgers. 3 interceptions in the game, looked terrible. I feel vindicated, even though the season's not over.
Yeah.
I do feel vindicated. Every time this summer, when we had mentioned the Packers, I had brought up 7-win football team. They might not get to 7. We'll find out. But this is a bad football team, and Aaron Rodgers really not happy losing to what he thinks is a bad football team. Listen to Aaron Rodgers here.
Can't lose a game like that against that team, though. So that's going to hurt for a while.
Can't lose a football team. Can't lose a football game to that team. How great is that? Number one, and if you are on that team, Braylon, you played on no offense, but you played on a lot of Browns teams that were not very good.
As he does all offense.
Right. but again, when you're on a team that you know isn't a good team, you win a game. Everybody believes that they should beat you. Every single opponent that you play believes should beat you, man. That's got to be a terrible feeling to lose Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Yeah, it's got to be a terrible feeling. And what he said is true. You know, you look at the Detroit Lions and what they've been over the last 2 years. They were 3-13-1 last year and a horrible defense. They're 1-6 this year going into that game and a horrible defense, historically bad defense. And then you play in the game, Aaron Rodgers, he knows he had 6 to 7 drops by his wide receivers and tight ends. He himself he missed 4 passes that would have easily won the game for the Green Bay Packers, and yet and still they still had an opportunity to win that game at the end, and they didn't get it done in the red zone. You can't lose to a team like the Detroit Lions. I don't care how bad you are, especially if you're a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who people have been telling him for the better part of the last 10 years that he's the best thrower of the football, that he's a bad man. They're telling him all that. He's told people to RELAX, and Aaron Rodgers has always been able to get away with that, because even when they've struggled, they've always been able to go back to RELAX, and people have said, you know what? He's shown us that he can do that. He has the cachet to tell us to relax. That's not the case this year. So if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're just watching everything crumble beneath you, and you know you had a hand in that, and then it's to the Detroit Lions, a team that you've essentially owned for 12 years that has been a mess for the better part of your time in the NFL, and they're a mess now, but they beat you, you got to be upset if you're Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, don't forget the Bears, how he yelled at them, I own you guys.
And
remember that?
Them as well.
And they beat him already this year. The Packers beat the Bears earlier in the year, but they ain't going to beat them the second time they play them. I think they got their receipts, and they're going to start cashing them in on this team.
But let me ask you this,
I
Matt.
do think they'll get better, the Packers. They're just not like they were.
Let me ask you this, Maz. And yesterday you and Stick had your own thing going on.
That was Stick.
Okay, true. But you were very sensitive and biased to Aaron Rodgers, which is a quarterback that doesn't play in the city where you live or a team you represent. So I understood where Stick was coming from and understood where you were coming from. That's why I just stayed out of it and kind of like moderated. But now getting back to it, what is it about the Green Bay Packers that allows you to continue to have the faith that they'll get it back? And the reason I ask is this. I understand 13-4 last year, 13-3 the year before that, MVP season, NFC, I get that. But he hasn't gotten it done in the playoffs. You've watched this thing crumble beneath them over the last 2.5 years, and now we're sitting in an Aaron Rodgers quarterback team that does not get it done on offense. They can't run the football. They have injury after injury. The defense has not gotten it done. They are actually pretty bad, and they got rid of a couple players, Zadarius Smith being one of them. Like, this is a team that has fallen apart, man, right before your eyes. Yeah. And I get it. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's just like Tom Brady. We look and it's like, well, it's still Tom Brady. It's still Aaron Rodgers. There's still time. Even when Kobe were playing on some of these traditionally bad Lakers teams, it's still Kobe Bryant. You still want to. They are a bad team. They are a bad team. They have lost to the Lions when the Lions are terrible. They lost to the Bears when the Bears hadn't figured it out yet. They lost to
they beat the Bears the first time.
Okay, they won't beat them the second time,
right,
et cetera. But I just think, where's the faith coming from for this Packers team that clearly everybody is out on?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in them. I had him as my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Don't
wrong.
feel bad. I had the Broncos. So.
Yeah. They lost Rashawn Gary now for the year as well. He's done. I still think that they're going to be able to run the ball by any time now. I do believe the offensive line is going to get better. Bakhtiari is going to get more healthy. That's what I'm betting on. They don't have the receivers. They truly do not have the receivers.
Do you know why they were good in the passing game? It's not because – why they were good in the running game? it's not because A.J. Dillon.
Because Aaron Rodgers is going to pick you apart.
And he's going to pick you apart with who? Devontae Adams.
I know.
He's going to pick you apart with
I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal. I was wrong.
He's going to pick you apart with Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams starts to garner two to three defenders. Now you can hit Randall Cobb's wide open. Now you have Allen Lazard. Now you have Valdez Scantling. You have those guys that are open when you have a Devontae Adams. And then also now you can open up the run game. A.J. Dillon's not this running back that's a 1,000-yard rusher. He's a running back to get you tough yards.
It's very average number 2 back.
Exactly.
Very average number 2. Not a great number 2.
Not catching
very
out the backfield.
Yeah.
Not necessarily great at picking up the blitz, but he runs hard and he can get short yard additions. Then Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is also a guy that's not going to run for 1,500 or 1,400. He's a guy that can catch out the backfield. He's a guy that has a burst to get you to the sideline. They don't have Devontae Adams to set that up anymore. So now the running game is not going to be nearly as good as it was in the past because they use the pass to set up the run. They're just not a team that can go out there and run the ball. I mean, they really struggle with the run, much like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they're not even close to where they used to be. And I don't know. If I have Aaron Rodgers on my team, I'm just not giving up the ghost. That's all.
So one of the things about the Lions game, and I've said this before, and I'm still there, absolutely. But, I talk about being emotionally dead when it comes to the Detroit Lions because I feel like I've given so much and I've gotten so very little back. And watching that game, and I'm just like with everybody else that watched that game, if you're a Lions fan, you were counting and thinking of the different scenarios and the different scores of how you could lose that game. Not how you could win the game, but how you could lose the game. I mean, when it was 8-0, I was thinking how they could lose 9-8. How they could lose 14-11. I mean, all these different things. So
that's a great point.
Right? But here's what gave me a little bit of hope. And, Braylon, I want your comment on this. Here's what I did do is try to take my fan hat off and put my other hat on, whatever that hat is. Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, James Mitchell. They won that game.
You left off Derek Barnes.
Derek Barnes.
There you go.
Also, Derek Barnes won that game. 4 draft picks, and I'll take it a step further. Significant contributors in that game. Amon-Ra, Malcolm Rodriguez, and you've got to put Penei Sewell in there because he is just really good.
Can I say something about Penei Sewell real quick? Because you're absolutely right. I'm going to say something about Penei Sewell. On the interception that Jair Alexander got, okay? Jair Alexander, he's coming across the formation. Watch that video over again and watch the hustle by Penei Sewell on that play. Not only did he take off and chase after him, he's the reason why Jair Alexander had to go out of bounds and couldn't try to cut up the field and maybe take it up the sideline. His hustle on that play, that's the type of stuff that you look for in a first-round draft pick.
When we mention draft picks and guys who are contributing, we seem to leave off Penei Sewell a lot because
he's not Micah Parsons.
Well, yeah, and he's doing so well, you never hear his name anymore, right? You forget about him.
He's an O-lineman.
Again, I want to explore that a little bit. The guys that you won that game with and the guys that are really starting to come on here are significant contributors. They've been drafted over the last 2 years. You've got some picks here coming up in the next draft, in the next one after that. You've got some money. Does it give you a little bit more hope than you're used to around here? Is it legitimate hope? I want to ask you guys that question coming up next. But first, a message from Chili Peppers Tanning.
All right, guys, and if you join the Chili Pepper Club, you're going to save $5 against any competitor. They will beat any competitor by $5 on unlimited tanning. Plus, you get the cleanest salons in the D. 27 locations and more on the way, too, right here on Woodward Avenue. The hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans. It's ChiliPeppersTanning.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I've lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Centron has signed up with WoodwardSports.com as well as the Detroit Red Wings to present to you a limited edition 6-pack. That's right, all three of their flavors, cranberry, sugar-free, and the classic, are in this package. Go to CentronWorld.com/Red Wings and get yourself one of these limited edition packages. One thing's for sure, Centron is here to re-energize the Red Wings, and also Woodward Sports is trying to help them re-energize the community. Drink it, live it with Centron.
I do feel like that we're going the right direction. I know the wins are not there, though we just got one there. I like the improvement. You know, I would like to be in a better place than we are, certainly. I feel like we should have at least 2 more wins here, and that's on me. But certainly to get a win for win's sake, you know, for winning, goes a long way. And, you know, we got a chance this week to win on the road the first time since I've been here, win back-to-back games, win another division game. So for us, we got a lot to play for, obviously.
So that's Lions head coach Dan Campbell yesterday. Team has off today, standard Tuesday day off for the players. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, and Tom Mazawey. Fletch and JB in the house as well. Guys, I kind of want to stick with that for a little bit. If we just look at the guys that performed in a victory this week. Again, Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph looked like a wrecking ball out there. Kirby Joseph. I mean, that looks like
knocked himself out even.
Yeah, he did.
Any update on that, by the way?
Yeah, he's in concussion protocol, but Dan Campbell thinks it will be identical to Amon-Ra St. Brown when neither one of them were concussed.
Thank God.
But now, once you get your bell rung, there's a guy watching, and they're pulling you out for the rest of that game.
I told you about Kirby Joseph.
You did mention Kirby Joseph, third-round pick of the Lions. And then, of course, look, James Mitchell, say what you want. In the small snapshot that we have seen James Mitchell, he has looked like he belongs. Catches a touchdown pass, had a one catch a week earlier than that.
Shane Zylstra, too, wearing Herman Moore's number 84 with a touchdown.
I mean, you've got the tight end position caught 2 touchdown passes on a day that was the first game without T.J. Hawkinson. And then Derek Barnes.
What does that mean to you? That they got rid of Hawkinson. Why couldn't they throw to him all this time? They had to get rid of him to throw to these other guys? I'll never understand that. Can he not catch the ball?
Who not catch the ball?
Maybe it's not about catching the ball. Maybe it's about, maybe
Hawk. I'm talking about
being
Hawk.
used as a blocker or something. Maybe Hawk's more of a wide receiver instead of a tight end like they like to use him.
Well,
I mean, look at
I know they don't want to pay him.
But also it's at the same time, you have to look at it like this. When you've already made a decision to move forward from your tight end, then he's no longer part of the game plan. He's no longer in your thought process. He's no longer in your present. You've already moved on. Now, he still may be on the team, and you're waiting to do the deal or whatever, but he's already out of your identity for where you're going moving forward. Why get a guy involved when, one, you're not going to win this season, 2, you're not going to move forward with him. When I was playing for the Cleveland Browns, when I got traded to the Jets, the Cleveland Browns had already known that they were going to move forward from me. And even though I started the 4 games that I played in for the Browns that year, they didn't feature me many times. I didn't get a lot of pass plays. But then I get traded to the Jets. The first game I play against the Jets, it's a Monday night game, play against the Dolphins. They had 9 attempts. Had 7 catches, but there were 9 attempts. It was the same as Hawk. It was 9 attempts because I came to a team that needed me. I came to a team that wanted to feature me and that had plans. They traded for me because they wanted to see me in the future. I was a part of what they were building. Same thing with Minnesota. Minnesota needs him, and they want to build with him. So the fastest way to get him implemented is you got a guy in Kirk Cousins who's a damn good quarterback, at least in the regular season. He got him implemented, and you got a guy in Kevin O'Connell as the head coach.
Did they not watch the Seattle game? Well, Hawkinson's just under 200 yards in receptions.
You talking about the Lions not watching?
Yeah.
If they move forward with you, man, like if it's an afterthought, it's an afterthought, and that's just what it is. If this is no longer part of what we want to be moving forward, then we have no.
I got you.
We have no will to feature it anymore because this is no longer going to be a thing.
Is the best case scenario for this team a guy that we have not talked about all year long, and that's Derek Barnes? It's a 4th-round pick a year ago, and the guy was flying all over the field this past Sunday, 12 tackles. Is that the best case scenario for this football team if he just continues to grow, or is that just a one-game sample? You can't take much of it. We'll see what happens the rest of the year because he looked like an absolute beast out there on Sunday against a team with a pretty good run game, a pretty good offensive line, and a pretty good quarterback out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's in terms of the Green Bay Packers, their team's in disarray, and we can talk about that as well. For Derek Barnes had a good game. Let's just basically talk about what you talked about. The Lions had some draft picks play well, and that's exactly what you want to see.
And he's one of them.
And that's what I'm saying. We've talked about the Jets. We've talked about the Giants. I mean, you look at the Jets, they get a big win against Buffalo. That's because their young guys step up. Those draft picks step up. Same thing with Detroit, okay? James Mitchell, yes, he caught a touchdown. He didn't go out there and have 7 for 90. He had 2 for 8 and a touchdown. It was really good. Derek Barnes, 12 tackles. And
can I just say one thing as you mentioned that? What's one area this team has?
Red zone.
Yes.
Red zone.
So even though 2 for 8, that's a really big red zone target.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm not poo-pooing on what you said. I'm agreeing with what you said.
Yeah.
From the draft pick perspective, Detroit Lions played well this past weekend. That's good to see moving forward, especially knowing that you got a lot of draft picks coming up in 2023. So that was good to see. But talking about Derek Barnes, you still got to take it with a grain of salt. You talk about he's flying around. Last year, Derek Barnes looked good for us, and he came on the show. And then after that, he kind of went backwards, and he disappeared until this week. Injuries are helping the Detroit Lions draft picks. You got injuries in Tracy Walker. You got injuries in Anzalone. You have injuries on the defensive line. So it's getting some other guys some chances to play, and it's showing. And then you get rid of Hawk, and now you got Zylstra. Now you have Mitchell scoring touchdowns in the red zone, which has been bad. So it's good to see injuries have helped them out. But the draft picks play well, but the other side of Detroit Lions is a struggle.
Hey, Brad Holmes had a great Sunday. He did. I hope he has another great one.
He did.
And as this thing goes along, I just think it's one thing you could look at and feel somewhat good about. Yeah. We've all been here for a very long time. We know what the deal is, and I'm not saying hop on the bandwagon. I'm not saying anything like that. What I am saying is, if you want to at least give yourself a little bit of a sliver of hope, know that this wasn't this game was not won because of some 31-year-old free agent pickup on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this was done with guys that you hope grow into something for many, many years to come on this football team. And again, there's 7 guys that contributed on the field on Sunday that were taken in the last 2 years of the NFL draft. And maybe I'm missing somebody, but between Sewell, Rodriguez, Amon-Ra, Barnes, Mitchell, Joseph, and Hutchinson, and I think Pascal did okay. You didn't hear Pascal's name a lot, but Pascal's presence.
Rodriguez, don't forget.
I mentioned him.
He got hurt, though.
He did. Pascal's presence out there helps guys like Hutchinson, helps guys on the back end here getting to the quarterback. He had a quarterback hit. Did Josh Pascal make that helps guys on the back end like Kirby Joseph? It
helps, but let's get back to when we came out of break. We played the sample, and the sample was Dan Campbell saying we got better, and that's actually where I was going. Maybe I start talking and forgot where I was actually going. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with we got better last week. Did your picks, the players that you've picked, the players that you've put the future hands in, some of those guys played well, and that was good to see. And maybe you got better in the fact that you now are trusting the guys that you drafted, but that's all about getting the right reps, being on the field. So that comes with that. But in terms of we got better, I disagree. The offensive line, they looked average in the game on this past Sunday. You look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff's numbers weren't good. Had another interception in a crucial point. You look at the yards. You look at Jamal Williams. Yeah, he had 81 yards. He also had 24 carries. that's 3.7 yards of crack. You look at where you stalled, where you didn't stall in the red zone with Mitchell, but you just look at the decision making, the fourth down where you took points off the board. You look at going for it on fourth down and spread offense with no running back game. Like, there are a lot of bad plays by the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. I disagree that they got better as a team.
Can you guys tell me, and I don't know if you talked about this yesterday, but at what point did kicking a field goal and taking 3 points in the first quarter, when did that become a bad thing? Like, did I miss something here? Do I not know anything about football? Don't answer that. But you know what I'm saying.
I know what he's about to say.
Here's what you have to say. Here's the whole fourth down thing for Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
They're not talented enough for him to play by the regular rules. They're just not. And you have a guy, it's your fourth kicker that you've had this year. He don't trust him. He's not a good kicker, obviously. They took a step back in the kicking game this year. So, no, he's not going to kick the field goal when he knows his team is probably going to fold and give up the touchdown going back the other way. This is what I believe. I believe he is going to roll the dice less and less and less as the years go on, as the talent gets better on this team. He's playing with pee-wee players against terrific teams. I know the Packers aren't great, but the Lions are undermanned every week.
Yeah,
they are.
You know what, Maz? I don't want to hear that they're undermanned every week. I don't want to keep
hearing. They are.
Maz, okay, I'll let you talk, and I didn't interrupt you, okay? You stop getting Braylon, they are. This is sports talk show. We talk about sports. We have opinions, but I'm not emotionally tied to the Detroit Lions. When I talk about the Detroit Lions, I talk about it from this point of view. This is the NFL. Like, we gave them that whole excuse last year. Oh, they're undermanned. But then in one space, we also would say, well, they were in this game. They should have won this game. They're in this game. This is the NFL. You have to find a way to get it done. If Dan Campbell is going to be in the NFL as a head coach, you have to make head coaching decisions. That will keep you as a head coach of a franchise. Kicking a field goal when we know you should kick the field goal, when you don't want to take points off the board, when it's earlier, it's about the perception, Maz, of knowing what to do. If Dan Campbell elects to go for a field goal in that moment, we will look at him and say he made the right decision. Now, if his field goal kicker misses it, that's on the field goal kicker. And if he replaces him on Monday, if he gets rid of him on Monday, brings in another guy, that's fine. But at least we know he has the presence of mind to make the right decision in the right moment. But he's not making the right decision, which doesn't give me hope that he'll be able to make the right decision, even if he has the talent to play.
And if you're Dan Campbell, that might be the smart thing to do from a public relations standpoint as well, because, number one, taking 3 points on the first drive of the game is always the right thing to do.
Nobody's going to say anything negative to Dan Campbell. They're going to be mad that the field goal kicker missed it.
Exactly. If you're a field goal kicker who misses a 17-yard field goal, which is what it would be, if Dan Campbell then goes for it on 4th and 9 or 4th and 7 inside the 40-yard line, you say, look, guys, I can't kick it right now. I can't kick it. I got to continue to go for these fourth downs because I don't have a kicker that can make a field goal. And then you understand why he's going for it and being this gambler on all these fourth downs.
And then
it's just, again, in a league that is as close as a one-score game each and every week, take the 3 points on the first drive of the game. I'll never understand, at least in the first quarter. Take the points.
We're sitting here talking about the Detroit Lions. They're undermanned. They're not being able to win games. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks. You can't tell me the Seattle Seahawks aren't in the same situation.
They're not. They're in first place.
The defense of the Seahawks are all young guys that are just drafted.
6-3.
Maz, but what I'm trying to tell you,
Braylon, 6-3.
Maz, I'm talking about the integral makeup of the Detroit Lions.
I don't give a damn about the makeup.
No, you do.
Who's winning?
Maz, you just said the Lions are undermanned.
They are.
What I'm trying to tell you is you look at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are winning with players that are 5th, 4th, 6th round draft picks.
But they're better players.
It's the same. No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're better coached. Pete Carroll is a better coach that has a better system. You talk about players that are undermanned. Geno Smith and Jared Goff. Who's a better quarterback?
Geno.
Oh, you wouldn't have said that before the season started.
He showed me.
See, Maz, now you're playing.
See what? I'm playing. It's even. It's
Maz. All I'm saying is you can't tell me one team is undermanned when another team is equally undermanned, but they're not playing the same way because it's down to coaching. And that's what I talk about. You give Dan Campbell so many credits. The reason why one team is winning and one team isn't is because one team has a better coach, and that coach has an idea of who to hire as a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator and how to get the players that are undermanned to play the best. So if you're going to tell me they're undermanned, then you got to tell me that the Seattle Seahawks are undermanned too.
Let's go player by player then. Is Lockett better than what we have?
You just told me Amon-Ra St. Brown was a #1 wide receiver.
I said at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so what's the difference?
They're your local security
K9 better than Swift?
For over 90
You told me that he was going to win the running back of the year at the start of the year. Don't change the conversation now. Don't change the
white. The bad guys one thing.
It's not black and white. It's the truth.
1-800-STAY OUT. Guardian Alarm.
It's the truth.
Your local security experts. Guardian Alarm. Stay out.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in Downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
For a limited time
Big
only.
Jim.
Get down to Big Boy for the all-new burgers and loaded fries. It's not the Slim Jim. It's the Big Jim.
Big Jim.
How about the
Big
chili
Jim.
cheeseburger and the bacon blue and those fries? Got to decorate them up. Make them nacho fries. Make them chili cheese fries. Baked potato fries. Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Big Boy. Where were we?
Seattle and Detroit.
Seattle and Detroit.
We're comparing a 2-6 team to a 6-3 team.
Maz, but here's the problem. You're so focused on the number, you're not focusing on the conversation that we're really having. If you want to go player for player, let's start at the beginning of the season. Beginning of the season, you look at the Detroit Lions and you look at the Seattle Seahawks. You can even go after the end of the first 2 weeks. You look at the Lions, you look at the offensive line. Offensive line of the Lions much better than the Seahawks. You look at the quarterback to start the season. You're taking Jared Goff over Geno Smith. Everybody wrote Geno Smith off in his word. You look at the running back, especially after week 1. You're taking DeAndre Swift over Rashad Penny, who was a starter, and you're damn sure taking him over K9, who was coming off the bench. So you're taking the running back. You wide receivers, yes. Lockett over not Lockett, but DK Metcalf over everybody that we have. If we don't know what Jameson Williams, we hope that Jameson Williams is going to be that. But right now, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, based on what you told me at the start of the season about what Amon-Ra St. Brown could be, and that was an all-pro #1, then Amon-Ra St. Brown and Lockett are a wash, according to what you said. You go on the defensive side of the ball. Jeff Okudah, everybody was singing his praise at the beginning of the year. You didn't even know any of the secondary members for the Seattle Seahawks outside Jamal Adams, who got hurt. Jamal Adams got hurt. Jeff Okudah's played well. Like, you go, Tariq Woolen is a 6th round draft pick, and now he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. It boils down to this. The Seattle Seahawks are better coached. They're in better situation to put players in better chances to have success versus where the Detroit Lions are. Player for player, Maz, I definitely agree. You would think the Detroit Lions would be better. But it's about the coach. It's about the experience of the coach, Pete Carroll, the cachet of the coach, and the coaches that he's hired on that staff. So when you tell me they're undermanned, I tell you, yes, to a certain extent, but also they're undercoached. Dan Campbell's not getting the best out of it, and that's why I said I disagree that they've gotten better this past weekend.
The thing about the Detroit Lions, in Braylon, what you're saying is really hard to argue. I think you're absolutely correct about this, because Dan Campbell admitted 2 segments ago in the soundbite that he cost his team 2 games.
You can even say the Jets versus the Lions. Yeah. The Lions have a better team before the season started.
And at what point? Look, I think if you want to talk before the season starts, you can have. Look, I thought the Lions would win 10 games, but you you don't want when you actually see stuff with your eyes as the season plays out. You can't just bury yourself in a hole. I think you do have to change your expectations once you actually see the games. But Dan Campbell,
are you talking about as a fan or as a coach?
As a fan.
Yeah, but that's because of the negligence of Dan Campbell.
And I'm agreeing with you. So Dan Campbell admitted that they should have 2 more wins than they do now. So that would put them at 4-4 instead of 2-6. That's on Dan Campbell.
And you'd be still having him in the playoffs.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, who would?
You know they're only 2 out of the wild card, right?
They are.
Okay.
And they keep winning.
Just to let you know.
But I think the New York Giants are a perfect example of this. If you look at before the season started, compare roster for roster, you tell me whose roster you think is more talented.
But it's the same thing with the Jets. I mean, with the Jets.
Jets, same thing. Too,
and the same thing with the Seahawks. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, none of those teams you had winning. And the Lions were another one that you didn't have.
And the Seahawks are one of them,
so
too.
you can rank them all the same. And what the difference is, Brian Daboll is the head coach of the Giants. Pete Carroll's the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And Robert Salah seems to be a competent head coach for the New York Jets.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay,
insert team here. You know, you can use the Giants, the Jets, the Seahawks, however you want to go about it. They seem to be getting the most out of their players. And the Lions are not. And that is just a hard point to argue. I mean, Dan Campbell blew the Vikings game. He blew the Seahawks game. And there's really no way to go about determining how good these teams are because your coach has blown a couple of games for you. Pete Carroll's not blowing any games for him. The offensive coordinator in Seattle is making Geno Smith, who, by the way, I think you find talent in the NFL. Yeah. Geno Smith has talent, but my goodness, they're putting him in a really good spot to win.
His completion percentage is off the charts,
and
I know he's throwing little dump passes.
Coaching though too.
That's the first thing I look at in the box score with Geno.
26 of 34.
Look at every week. He's only missing 10 to 12 passes a week.
And that's it. Coaching though. I think that's what Braylon's trying to say.
Geno's an interesting topic. Maz brings up a good point. It's an interesting topic, and the reason why is this. Geno Smith is a quarterback that got drafted to be a starting quarterback in this NFL by the Jets. You saw what he did. Let me get centered. You saw what he did in West Virginia. He was on point to win the Heisman at one point. He was favored after week 8, and then he went downhill. But he was drafted to be a first-round quarterback. We knew he could sling the ball. We knew he'd get the ball way down the field. He had Tavon Austin was his wide receiver. He gets the ball down the field. But it didn't work in New York. But Geno was an individual. He sat behind Eli Manning. Mm-hmm. He had to look himself in the mirror. Then he sat behind Phillip Rivers with the Chargers.
Hall of Fame.
There you go. Look yourself in the mirror yet again. Then he goes to Seattle. Had to sit behind Russell Wilson.
Hall of Famer.
And he had to look himself in the mirror. He was able to look himself in the mirror and tell himself at every chance. He learned from those quarterbacks. He saw how he would have to adjust his game to be successful in the NFL. And then when he got another chance, he said, this is all or nothing, and he's showing that he paid attention, that he worked hard, and he had that conversation with himself. Jared Goff, on the other hand, is another guy like, has Jared Goff ever had to really, really, really dig deep and find himself? And the answer is no. And that's why I say you look at Geno Smith. That's why he's a different case, because not only are they putting him in good situations, he's also a damn good quarterback that's finally figured out where he's going to be good at and how he's going to have success.
Yeah, and again, this is a very close league, right? Yeah. And where 1 or 2 plays makes the difference. And in those 1 or 2 plays, would you rather have Pete Carroll being the guy or Dan Campbell? Would you rather have, if I gave you right now an option, would you rather have Brian Daboll or would you rather have Dan Campbell? Who would you tell me?
Yeah.
Anybody? Who would you tell me? Daboll, right? Would you?
Yeah, right now through 8 games.
Yeah. And then too, but you keep saying through 8 games, and I say it like this, and you say through 8 games, and then you say, well, you can't do before the season because here we are, and the mindset is different. The mindset has changed, and to that I say, like at the beginning of the season, everybody's excited. Detroit Lions scored 45 points on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, let that sink in. But let me finish.
Yep.
In that game, no one said the Detroit Lions were undermanned when they scored 45 points against the Eagles. 3 weeks later, when they should have beaten the Minnesota Vikings, when they were up 10 in the fourth quarter and then up again 14 in the fourth quarter, nobody said they were undermanned and they shouldn't have beat the Minnesota Vikings. What they said was the coach and the defensive side lost it in the fourth quarter. They don't know how to win yet. So until you win, you don't know how to win. You don't know how to close games. They weren't undermanned in that moment, so don't give me this 4 weeks later, oh, they're undermanned. Don't give me that.
Yeah, look.
They have a lot of injuries since then.
So does everybody else. Boo,
okay, but
boo, F and O.
I understand that, but when you have only one line of players and the other line on the bench sucks, so when your first line goes down, you're putting me on the field.
Arguably, the second best player on the Seattle Seahawks offense went down. Insert rookie running back. Insert. They kept the party going.
I'm telling you, he's something else. This Kenneth Walker III, and I will say this about the Lions: they are a different team when DeAndre Swift is in the game than when he's not in the game. And this, 5 touches this past week, 2 carries, 3 catches.
Did you see that one catch he made?
Yeah, he's
a phenomenal player.
One of the most frustrating players in the history of Detroit Lions football.
Kidding.
One of the most frustrating players in the history of Detroit Lions football, no doubt about it, because you see they finally have an NFL elite player.
Yeah.
Who just simply cannot stay on the field. One of the points that I was going to make, though, Braylon, when you're trying to make an assessment before the season and then, now we're at the midway point, you really can't speak to what you don't know. I think, with Geno Smith being a career backup quarterback for 9 years, you just, in your mind, you envision this to be a backup quarterback. If he was any good, he'd be on the field, but that's not the case.
What I'm saying is you can't speak to what you don't know, because the one common denominator that I continue to bring up is that I never liked Dan Campbell as the coach in terms of X's and O's. I never liked Dan Campbell in terms of his decision making on picking people to lead young men.
Sure.
So that's more so what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying, I got to ignore what I saw the first 7 weeks and I got to look at this the same lens. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the reason why the situation is the same as it was before the season started for me. It's just coaching, cachet, who you hire, resume.
And then look, Daboll too. I mean, how do you know whether why isn't Daboll another coordinator that doesn't make it? I mean, we all thought that Josh McDaniels was going to lead the Raiders to be this Super Bowl team.
To the basement.
I mean, Josh McDaniels is a disaster. Is he
a disaster, or are the Raiders just exactly the Detroit Lions of the AFC? Is it the same similar thing? Because they almost beat the Chargers, they almost beat the Chiefs. Like, they've been in games.
So have the Lions been in games.
I understand that, and that's what I'm saying. Like, is Josh McDaniels doing anything different than anybody else with the Raiders?
Second go around for him. Not much success outside of the New England coordinator.
Who has had success with the Raiders, though?
Rich Bisaccia last year got him going.
Playoff win.
I mean, you look at the Raiders' schedule, you look at the injuries and who they played. I know injuries, they tell the story for everybody in all 32 teams. But you got to look at who they've played. You got to look at the games that they've been in. Like, we'll give him a second to figure it out. Like, you can say he's a mess. We're talking week 8, and he's played a hard-ass schedule in a tough-ass division. Meanwhile, here, with Dan Campbell, we're sitting here with a 25-game sample size.
Yeah, but in fairness to that, Josh McDaniels was not brought into Las Vegas for a rebuild or some sort of step back. I mean, he was brought in to put them over the top. Remember what those players said about
Rich Bisaccia
Put them over the top.
Remember what they said?
I don't remember what they said.
They wanted him to be the head coach. And Al Davis, Mark Davis, made the choice to say no.
It's kind of like, it reminds me of the situation when Patricia was brought in after Caldwell. Yeah. Patricia was not brought here to do a rebuild and go backwards. Patricia was brought here, believe it or not, at the time, somebody actually thought it was a good idea that he would be the coach to lead them to the next level.
Well, you know what? Some onus needs to go on Derek Carr. Did you want to go that route with Josh McDaniels?
I never liked Derek Carr.
Well, guess what? That's the quarterback that he has.
Yeah.
That's the guy that he has. That's the guy that's charged with helping him turn around that Las Vegas Raiders.
He took that job, though, knowing that's his guy.
Okay, what is he going to do? Stay in New England for another 5 years? He took a job, but at the same time, we got to stop putting all the onus on the head coach. Like, you're a quarterback that makes $45 million, that's been throwing 4,800 yards for the last 6 years that everybody talks about. It's time for you to go win some games. It's time for you to muster up, man up, and go win some games.
I've never been a Derek Carr guy, but, I mean, he did win a playoff game last year, and they got
No,
Devontae
he didn't.
Adams.
He got to a playoff game and lost. They didn't win. They lost to Tennessee.
Either way, that's right, because Rich Bisaccia got fired.
Yeah, he lost to Tennessee.
Well, then he sucks. I stand corrected. Screw Derek Carr.
Bengals
what a piece of what. Very good, guys. All right, I want to catch up on our picks. We'll go around the NFL. Also, a name is being bandied about to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Is it something, nothing, internet fodder? What is it?
Is it closely related?
We'll talk about it next. But first, a message from Custom Health Centers. Maz, how you doing?
3.5.
12 pounds down, this guy.
Look at this guy.
Oh, man. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous thing.
Making me look worse.
Well, I'm just saying, I am following the program, and it is incredible.
You're almost like a doctor with it, as a matter of fact.
I tell you. Like the people. Look, I was out this weekend, and people were like, people that know me, close to me.
Are you sick?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I knew that.
What the hell happened? Because you can notice 10, 12 pounds off somebody that you see, once a week or so. And I said, no, man, it's this Custom Health Centers that I'm on. And they're like, I want in. And I understand why. Custom Health Centers takes the willpower out of weight loss. Your weight affects your health emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. Custom Health Centers has been blessed, have had over 20,000 success stories. You can start losing weight today. Call Dr. Jason and Custom Health, 844-789-THIN. That's 844-789-THIN.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Yo, time to talk about my man, Michael Phillips, at Keller Williams Legacy out of Dearborn. He just gets it. 23 years in the game, he is number one. If you want to buy, sell, or invest in a home, you got to go to Mike Phillips. Michael Phillips is the only guy that's for you. Whether you're a player, whether you're a fan, helping you is his number one priority. 313-403-0011. I say it again. 313-403-0011. Game on.
So, this whole situation, I don't even know where to begin with Jeff Saturday.
Of course you know where to begin.
What do you mean?
They had the meeting 2 weeks ago. Don't you remember? Jim Irsay.
Bezos.
No, the Chris Ballard, the GM, and the head coach at the time, Frank Reich. They all got together and they're like, well, I'm sorry, this Matt Ryan, you're going to have to bench him. Start this, who's the worst quarterback we got here? Sam Ellinger? Yeah, let's start him because I want the 1 or 2 pick in next year's draft. I want my next Andrew Luck. That's exactly what the Colts are doing. They are dumping, big time dumping. So they might not win another game.
But I think the question is more so, how does Jeff Saturday fit the equation?
I am curious about this one because there has to be some sort of standards.
There are.
Right.
The owner and him are good friends, and he's going to tell Saturday, forget it.
And even,
I don't care if you win or not.
But even, I'm surprised, even Saturday in this position, so, he even asked Jim Irsay, why am I a candidate for this? It's not something he went for. It's not something he called and said, hey, I'd like to do this. It was Irsay that called him. How does that even happen is the first question I have. And I don't even know if it should be allowed. If I'm a If I'm a player on that team,
it's disgraceful.
I'm going to the owner and I'm saying, I'm out of here the minute I'm going to play for you now. I'm going to finish my contract.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to do. But you will not play with my life. You will not play with my money. And you will not play with my career like this.
Good for you.
I am out of here the first chance that I get. That's what I would do if I was a player on the Indianapolis Colts right now, because that's embarrassing. You're playing with these guys' career. They worked their whole lives to play in the National Football League. They finally get to the league, what they think is a good organization, and you're going to give me Jeff Saturday, who, no offense to Jeff Saturday, I'm sure he's a fine guy.
I think he coached the Pee Wee team in Indy.
But he's never coached college. He's never coached the NFL. He's never even sniffed a coaching room before. I just don't think you play with people's careers like this. I don't think you do that. And I think it's a shame. And the league should have stepped in at some point. I don't even know what their capabilities are, but it's the mafia of the NFL.
Right.
They could say, no, you're not hiring
The minute
him.
they said we're benching Matt Ryan, not for a game, not for 2 games, for the entire season, right there, that's a rat.
This isn't Madden 23. You don't get to just do stuff like this.
Well, apparently you do. If you're a billionaire, you own a team, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, and that's why Jim Irsay is pulling his move. Now, as it relates to the politics of it all, and what coach didn't get an opportunity, and who he's not, interviewing, and from within. Okay, I get all that, but if you're talking about like he's playing with guys' careers and et cetera, what's the difference between him pulling this move with Jeff Saturday, who's legitimately going to go in there and allow the offensive coordinator to do what he's doing, and the defensive coordinator to do what he's doing? They can get to the offseason, they can have to try to get the number 1 pick, and then whatever coach he wants to bring in to actually be the guy. Well, what difference does it make for 8 games? Like, it really doesn't make a difference. The only thing about this comment that bothers me, what bothers me, is the last line and what Jim Irsay said. Jim Irsay said, we're bringing him in, blah, blah, blah. He said for 8 games. He said, we're bringing him in for 8 games, but I hope it's longer. There's where I have the problem, Ryan and Monty. There's when I start to look at what you're saying. You're playing with guys' emotions. You're playing with guys' reputation. You're playing with guys' passion and the work that they're put in. You're playing with guys' lives, their livelihood, if you will. Like, he has no resume. You talk about Steve Nash, it's similarly the same situation as when they hired Steve Nash for the Brooklyn Nets. He was a consultant for the Golden State Warriors. Same as Jeff Saturday. He's a consultant for the Indianapolis Colts. Like, once he said that comment, it's for 8 games, but I hope it's for longer. That's when I said something's completely off with the Indianapolis Colts and Jim Irsay. If he just brings him in as a consultant just to finish off these 8 games, I still don't agree with it. But what's the worst that can happen? But him saying he hopes for more than 8 games, that's where it starts to get serious, and somebody needs to look into it.
And here's a guy, Irsay, that called out Daniel Snyder.
Yeah.
It makes him even better than Daniel Snyder. And I know Daniel Snyder's a bum. I know that. And he's a crook. And I don't know how big a crook Irsay is.
They all are.
They're all crooks, just like the politicians. The same crap, no matter what you get. But it is what it is, man. I'm glad I'm not a Colts fan this year. I am.
Yeah. Without question. And even Peyton Manning was like, I heard Peyton Manning was asked about this, and he's like, Jeff's a good guy.
Because you don't know what to say. It's like, he doesn't want to try.
That was his all-pro center.
That's his guy. Remember,
he had his hands, rare.
Remember the Pro Bowl? Remember Jeff Saturday's last Pro Bowl? He was playing with Green Bay. They let him take the snap. I know that's his guy, but even Peyton's like, you know what? Yeah, because he doesn't want to say anything negative about Jeff. That's his best friend. He doesn't want to say anything negative about Irsay. He won a championship with Irsay. He's like, hey, good luck.
So go ahead, Mass.
You said it yesterday. There should be one coach here for this team, and part owner maybe.
Peyton Manning.
He's
the only person with no resume that I have no problem with, like conceding to. Like, oh, you got paid? Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
So let me localize this topic a little bit because Jim Harbaugh is a 10-1 odds on. He's kind of middle of the pack here, kind of middle of the road here, right smack dab in the middle.
Jeff Saturday. Greg Roman.
Jim Harbaugh is 10-1 to be the next full-time head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That is BetOnline.ag. It's an offshore betting site. And Harbaugh's name is in there. Other names on there: Byron Leftwich, offensive coordinator of the Bucs, 12-1. Raheem Morris.
Notice where those black guys are at, though.
14-1. Eric Bieniemy
all at the bottom
is in there, plus 900, 9-1. D'Amico Ryans, 7-1. So I guess the question is, are we going to hear Jim Harbaugh's name consistently with open jobs in the NFL? And is Jim Harbaugh done with the flirtation or whatever he wants to call it, the job interviews. Will he shut this down immediately, or this is something that you think he'll still consider? Because I don't know. I don't have the first. I don't have the first clue.
Yeah, I think yes. I think yes and no. And the reason why I think yes and no is this. I think yes because Jim Harbaugh is hot right now. Like, Jim Harbaugh is hot as a firecracker right now. He's 21-3 in his last 24 games. I say that again because think about the era Michigan came from. He's 21-3 in his last 24 games.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add to that? This is a tweet from Scott Bell. You want to talk about how hot Jim Harbaugh is? Since Jim Harbaugh took over as head coach in 2015, Michigan has spent 55 weeks ranked in the AP top 10. The Wolverines spent 31 weeks ranked in the top 5 and 10 weeks ranked in the top 3. For reference, Michigan spent 1 total week ranked in the AP top 10 from 08 to 14. 55 weeks in the AP top 10.
So that's right on point. Nice job by you and Fletch right there. That was beautiful. That was mastery of you guys' craft. But that shows you he's hot as a firecracker right now. So he's going to continuously get brought up. Not to mention, who was a team that Jim Harbaugh led to the AFC Championship? And actually, if they had instant replay back then, it would have been a win because that Hail Mary was a touchdown. So Jim Harbaugh got screwed. It's with the Indianapolis Colts. So it, like you said, you localize it. It's because he's also connected to the Colts. He had successful time there. He made the Pro Bowl there. He made the AFC Championship. So it's connected. Once Jim Harbaugh finishes this season, and whatever that entails for Jim Harbaugh, whether it's a Big Ten championship and a national championship, whether it's a Big Ten championship, whether it's a backdoor route to the Final Four, notice I'm saying that they're going to be in that playoff. But if it's whatever, after that season, if he immediately shuts this down, like if he immediately talks about next year, he's ready for next year, I think then you'll start to see less and less and less. But what Jim Harbaugh did last year, won the Big Ten championship, he made it to the playoffs. Then after he lost to Georgia, he starts flirting with the NFL and actually almost end up taking the Minnesota Vikings job. So it makes sense that this is coming out. But after this season, if he starts talking about 2023 in Ann Arbor, I think you'll start seeing this less and less.
I don't see what it's a big deal that if a guy wants to go and be a head coach in the NFL, it shouldn't bother you. It really shouldn't. It's not like he's going to coach Ohio State or Michigan State. He's going to go to the NFL. It just didn't bother me last year with the Minnesota thing, and I understand the recruiting and everything, but as long as he's honest with the kids he's talking to and the families, and he was last year, he's like, yeah, I'm talking to Minnesota, but if I'm here, I'm going to do A, B, and C.
Well, it's just like when we start talking about Ben Johnson, particularly when they were looking good early, potentially taking over and being the guy for Dan Campbell. You were like, no, I don't want it to happen that fast. It's the same thing with Michigan fans. The Michigan fans have waited to get back to prominence. The Michigan fans have waited to come out of the darks and the depths of Brady Hoke and of Rich Rodriguez, and now through Jim Harbaugh's tenure, now you finally get to a place where you beat Ohio State. You go to a playoff. You're going to leave now? I think for Michigan, it was just a feeling of, not now, we need you.
Here's why it bothers me, Maz. Scott Bell's tweet.
I get it.
That's why it bothers me.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Michigan, and again, for those of you out there, I have all these printouts from all the tweets that you see.
Exactly.
I just print out this one. But Scott Bell's tweet. Michigan has had success unlike we have seen in quite some time.
Probably
ever. And I'll tell you, man.
With the exception of actually winning the championship, yeah.
And again, last year didn't bother me. He was open about it. He did set out to what he came to do, sans national championship aside, but beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship. Those were important things to me as a Michigan fan and as a Michigan alum. I just don't need to see it every year now, because I do think at some point it does catch up to you. It does catch up to your program. I think you can withstand it for 1 year.
Yeah.
Either you can withstand it to explore for 1 year, but then you got to pull back and make a decision. Hey, this is something I still want to do, or it's not. I'll take Jim Harbaugh at his word. Last year when it didn't work out with Minnesota, he said, I'm going to be the coach at Minnesota. This is kind of out of my system now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what will happen with the college football playoff tonight. We'll check in, get your thoughts on that too, Braylon. But first, a message from Swiss.
And actually, Lloyd had the best tenure ever. It wasn't Jim Harbaugh. He's on his way, though. Swiss Insurance Group and their employees are heavily involved in their community. It is very rewarding, but it comes at great responsibility. If you sit on a local youth sports board, homeowners association, or you volunteer as a coach, directors and officers insurance is a must. Make sure your kids, parents, volunteers, and the community is protected. Let Mark and Swiss Insurance Group protect you.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Welcome back, hour number 2 of the program here on WoodwardSports.com. So glad to have you along, making us part of your day. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. We got Fletch. We got JB. Hello, everybody.
What's going on, brother?
Want to kick off hour number 2 with some college football now. Braylon, we were at the Big House, coincidentally enough, on Saturday night. emceeing an event for C.S. Bott Children's Hospital and Von Voigtlander Hospital. Just such a great night to be there and be with you.
I saw you guys on the field.
We went down on the field.
It
was upstairs. We went down on the field, and I threw a touchdown pass to Braylon Edwards.
Nice pass, by the way.
Corner. Where he caught that.
In the
corner, touchdown. Ermanni to Edwards, touchdown.
Hey, man, felt good, man.
No doubt about it. Braylon would have got flagged, though, because he spiked the football.
Not in today's college football. It's back to the days of Miami celebrating and not getting flagged for it. So
did you guys see the Viking celebration on Sunday?
I did. The bowling.
That was the best.
That was because you're a bowler.
Well, it was so good.
Just initial observations from that game as a whole. To really, you could say what you want about Rutgers. It's a tough place to play at night in November against a Greg Schiano-led team. Obviously, you would have liked to have seen them get off to a little bit faster start. They did not. They were trailing at the half. But at the end of the day, man, the defense dialed it up, and then they got it going in the second half. A win is a win. I will take it 52-17 over Rutgers.
The way I look at it is this way. Every team struggled in college football this past weekend. Every team struggled. The only thing is Michigan was a team that was able to come out of their struggle and be dominant in the second half. In the last 5 games, Michigan is 60-3 in the second half. I say that again. In the last 5 games, Michigan is 60-3 against the opposition in the second half. Michigan has a way of imposing their will in the first half, really assessing what they want to do with the game, and then they make great adjustments. Now, I want to say it reminds me of Pete Carroll in his reign, in his dynasty. They were tremendous at second half adjustments. Now, you can look and talk about all the offensive things or whatever. I'm just looking at second half adjustments. They play extremely well in that second half, and I enjoy it. Michigan is winning games the way they want to win. And if you really look at it and break it down, Ryan, it's no different than last year. That's funny. It always catches me off guard. It's no different than last year. You look at what Michigan did last year. Cade McNamara didn't destroy you with his arm. Cade McNamara didn't light up Penn State. He didn't light up Iowa. He didn't light up Ohio State. In fact, you look at the Ohio State-Michigan game last year, Cade had 162 yards passing. They won because they dominated. They won on third down, and they ran the ball, and they won in the trenches. They're the same team this year. You look at how they run the ball with Blake Corum. You look at Donovan Edwards. Once again, both those guys over 100. JJ makes the plays with his feet when he has to. They get Schoonmaker involved. Schoonmaker had a big drop in the end zone, but they get him involved when they need to. They're the same team playing the game the same way, so it doesn't bother me. It bothers me in terms of can they beat Georgia in the national championship, because until you pass the ball, you're not beating Georgia in the national championship. But can they beat Ohio State again the way they're playing it? Yes, because they did it last year. When Ohio State had Jackson Smith and Jigba, when they had Chris Olave, when they had Garrett Wilson and Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson and C.J. Stroud, they had the same team almost last year, and Michigan dominated them.
Probably better.
They were, in terms of health-wise, yes. In terms of health-wise, they were more healthy last year, because this year, Travion Henderson's been hurt. Jackson Smith and Jig was waiting for the Michigan game, obviously. So looking at it that way, Michigan beat Ohio State same way last year. So I'm fine with Michigan. I'm fine with whatever's going on. Georgia, can they beat those teams, not pass the ball? The answer is no.
And again, that deep ball is something they got to figure out. Yeah. I mean, again, JJ missed a wide open Andrell Anthony in the first half. But again, but here's what I do like about it. You design the play. You put the kid in there. He got open. He was wide open. It would have been a touchdown. JJ's got to make the pass. Got to make the throw.
It goes back to what Maz has been saying. He's like, you keep telling me Cade, show me. You keep telling me Cade was worth putting JJ in there. Show me. I understand where Maz is coming from, and I still myself want to see that. It also is hard to build that chemistry. It's hard to build that no when you don't do it all the time. When you're trying it twice a game and it's not working and you're going away from it, you're shooting down the confidence of JJ McCarthy. You're not letting him get that in-game confidence. Here's the flip side of that, Ryan. Now, here's something. You guys are ready for a take. This isn't even a hot take alert. I don't have to hit the horn. This actually, you know what? Where's the horn?
Hit it. I don't know where.
The horn? It's way down there.
I think they stole it.
No, it's down there. I just don't feel like getting up and getting it. There you go. I'll take that, JB. You ready for this? You know what this is going to affect, though, Maz and Fletch and JB? It's going to affect this. You're not passing the ball. You're not throwing the ball around. You know what's going to happen? Your Andrell Anthony's, your Clemens, your Sandra Stills. You know what they're going to do? Maz just show what Maz is doing. Maz, what are they going to do? It's 2020 tweet. It's 2022. The transfer portal is real. If these guys can't get the football, if they can't be featured, because you know how you can't get drafted? If you don't have film. If you don't have film, you can't get drafted. And I'm not telling Harbaugh to change his model, because in the Big Ten, it works. We see. We just read the tweet. We understand that it works for you in Michigan. But if you're a guy, why would I want to come here if I'm like the top five? One of the top players in the country is a wide receiver out of D.C. He's this big kid, 6'4", 235. He runs a 10-2. He has aspirations on playing the Olympics. Nicholas something. Why would I come to Michigan if I know I'm going to have 300 yards receiving in a full season? Why would I come to Michigan when I know you don't even trust your quarterbacks enough to throw the ball at enough clips for me to be able to have some film to get drafted? These players, Andrell Anthony, and the list goes on, they're going to start transferring, and as the wide receivers start transferring, the wide receivers that are coming in, they're like, why the hell would I go to Michigan? I'm going somewhere where they pass the ball, which is everywhere except Michigan. That's where it's going to start affecting Michigan in the future, is these transfers, and then wide receivers looking like, why would I go there?
What did C.J. Carr's mom, Tammy, supposedly like on that tweet? The tweet was, why go to Michigan when they're just going to hand the ball off 100 times a month?
Yeah.
You don't throw the ball. Why are the quarterbacks going to go there? Why did the kid that we had in here from Detroit, Dante Moore, why did he go to Oregon? Because they have more fun, I guess, up in Oregon. Now, I even heard a rumor that, the Michigan State people have been putting a rumor out that they're trying to flip them from Oregon to Michigan State. What do you think on that?
I think that's legit. Like, if I'm Michigan State, I see how bad my program is right now. I got a kid, and King High School
put the money up.
And I was exactly. King High School has an affiliation with Michigan State, from Curtis Blackwell to a lot of the other individuals. Kevin Vickerson, who's on staff with the King High School himself, he's a defensive line coach. They have a channel to King High School. You put up $1.5 million. Dante Moore and his family are going to Michigan State. They're changing and going to Michigan State. But that's what bothers me, is this transfer portal. They're going to start losing wide receivers, and they're also going to start not getting wide receivers. And, oh, by the way, you're able to get away with not passing.
Is Thomas Wilcher still there, too?
Yeah, he's up there, too. Yeah. Thomas Wilcher, Cass Tech. Yeah. So you're getting away with it now because the Big Ten is what it is. But guess who's coming to the Big Ten over the next 4 years? Oregon's coming. Washington's coming, USC's coming, UCLA's coming, and all those teams do is what? Is pass. So all this bulldozing, you're not going to be able to bulldoze over teams when you're down 21-0 in the first quarter. You're not going to be able to do that. So I get it. It works now. But we're not preparing for today. We're preparing for tomorrow. Or Michigan is preparing for tomorrow.
Last week, 6 receptions, 2 wide receivers. Against Rutgers, I think that number was 7 receptions to wide receivers. That's not to one receiver. That's to all of them. It's a great problem to have. I mean, we just read the Scott Bell tweet from From 2008 to 2014, Michigan spent one total week ranked in the AP top 10. Then since Jim Harbaugh took over in 2015, how about 55 weeks ranked in the top 10? 31 weeks in the top 5 and 10 weeks in the top 3. So again, I don't want to make it sound like we're complaining here, because I'm not complaining. You always feel like you could be a little bit better than you are. I don't know how they win a game. I know Tennessee's got one loss. I don't know how they win a game against Tennessee. I don't know how they win a game against Georgia. I don't know how they win a game against hell, TCU could score a lot of points.
Let's face it, Harbaugh's stubborn. He's stubborn. He thinks his way is going to win no matter what. That's what he thinks.
I just would like to see a little bit more creativity on the offensive side of the ball. Is that me complaining about 9-0? Seriously, is that? Am I a bad person for complaining about 9-0? Just a little bit more creativity about 9-0.
The reason why you're not a bad person for complaining about 9-0 is because you know what? All last season, all that Michigan did, nobody said anything about what Michigan did last year. What's the one thing they talked about last year? They talk about how we got our ass whooped against Ohio State. About Georgia. They talk about how Michigan was nowhere near on the level that Georgia was in that game, whether it was Stetson Bennett, whether it was George Pickens, whether it was Lewis Seen, whether it was the whole defensive line, whether it was every player on that freaking team, and including the coach and Kirby Smart, who's had to deal with Nick Saban for years and finally got over that hump. Nobody talks about all that good stuff that Michigan did last year. Nobody talks about Aiden Hutchinson, the sacks, and all this, and up the Heisman, and they only lost one game. Even this year, they're undefeated and blah blah. All they care about is the fact that they got their butts whooped against Georgia. And the same thing will happen this year is if they don't learn how to pass the ball down the field, and it doesn't just happen.
And Braylon, I do think you're right. I think they can beat Ohio State on the road
because it's a Big Ten. That's what happens.
Playing this brand of football. I think up front, Michigan is much better up front than Ohio State is on the offensive line and the defensive line. I think they can win there. I think they can control the trenches. I do not think they can do that against Georgia.
Ohio State can't stop the run. You see what Ohio State let happen against Northwestern. Northwestern is 1-8 now. They were 1-7 going into the game. They allow Northwestern, lonely Northwestern, to get over 200 yards rushing, and they give up 225 yards a game rushing. That means they're weak at the linebacker position. That means they're weak at the point of attack from the offensive line. Michigan's going to demolish them in the point of attack from the offensive line to the defensive line. They're going to run the ball well. So, yes, it's a Big Ten type win. It's a Big Ten type game. But when you get out there with Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama, then that speed creates chaos, not to mention them scoring points rapidly. You look up and blink, it's 21-0. Michigan flinched in that Georgia game, and it was over. Michigan flinched in the Georgia game, went for it on fourth, game was over.
I'm watching Monday Night Football last night. I listened to Troy Aikman, Joe Buck's talking about Patrick Mahomes. He threw for 60, he threw 60 times, 480 yards, and Troy starts laughing. He's like, 60 times? I was lucky if I could do that in 4 weeks. In 4 freaking weeks.
Right. Guys, college football playoff will be revealed tonight, week 2, in that ranking. Where will Michigan lie? Will it be at 3 or will it be higher or lower? Where do you have them? We'll get to that next, but first a message from SMA.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health as well as substance abuse. Listen, we want to destigmatize, and I say we because it's all of us. It takes all of us to get it going. We want to destigmatize mental health. That's why we had the conversations on woodwardsports.com as well as thesportsma.com. Sean Jordan does an amazing job of giving you the content, the conversations that allow you to be okay with not being okay, but know where to go, what outlets to use. Go to thesportsma.com.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play. And before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Only at Big Frog.
Big Frog, ribbit.
Yourself a free Woodward Sports t-shirt all month long at Big Frog in Novi. Stop in today, tell them we sent you, and they will print you out one right on the spot. So stop in today at Big Frog in Novi to get your free Woodward Sports t-shirt, or check them out online at bigfrog.com/Novi.
College football playoff going to be revealed tonight. Week 2 for that ranking. AP top 25 for what it's worth. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU are the top 4. Tennessee comes in at number 5. And then look out for the Pac-12. You've got Oregon there at 6 and USC at 8. Let's not forget about LSU. This could be complete chaos, anarchy. Man, I wish this year was the 12 teams, but it won't be. Braylon, how do you see this one looking tonight? What do you think will happen? What should happen?
Well, what's going to happen? It's going to be Georgia, Ohio State. It's going to be exact same as the AP. It's going to be Georgia, Ohio State. It's going to be Michigan at 3 and TCU at 4. The reason why they do it this way, Georgia showed you hands down they're number 1 in the country. Ohio State still has the habitual choice of yearly. It's Ohio State. They got to be ranked. So they'll put them 2. Michigan 3. They're undefeated. They'll put Michigan 3, especially what they've done in the second half of games. And then TCU's undefeated. So I think looking at it this way, you'll have an undefeated SEC in this competition right now. You have undefeated Big Ten with 2 teams in this conversation right now. And then you have undefeated Big 12 that has had some good games thus far this season. You'll have 5 TCU. And then the Pac-12, they both have 1 loss, be it Oregon or be it USC. Both of those guys have 1 loss, and they're on a collision course for the Pac-12 championship. That's how it should be. It should. That's how it by them. It should be just flip-flop. Like if we're just looking at teams that have won, teams that are undefeated, teams that deserve it. Well, in that case, I think you put Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, and TCU 4. And the reason why you flip-flop Michigan, Ohio State is just look what Ohio State did in the last 2 weeks. They played teams. One, they played Penn State, and they struggled against Penn State until the 4th quarter. Michigan beat Penn State by 24. Now you can tell me it was at Penn State versus being in Ann Arbor. I don't care. They struggled. They had under 200 yards of total offense against Michigan. They had over 250 in the first half on Ohio State. Pay attention. I'm telling you, it's going to come back around. Then you look at this past game. They played Northwestern, which is a team that has 1 win. This team had 1 win. They're 1-8. They going into the 4th quarter was tied. We're tied with Ohio State. Ohio State had to get down to the 4th quarter to beat. And you can talk about the wind and the effect and the rain and all that. I played in the game when we were in Michigan, Illinois, my senior year, where the wind was 70 miles per hour, 70 knots, or whatever the layer of measurement is, or unit of measurement. It was 70 knots. We didn't we didn't pass the ball. All we did was run. That team was horrible. We still won by 20. And we still won by 20. It was a comfortable win, so I don't care about that. That's what it should be. But all hell is going to break loose soon, and it's going to be fun to see how this thing plays out because I keep saying this. This could be a weird year where you're looking at an LSU team with 2 losses. They have a chance to be in the playoffs.
That's where I was going with it.
They got a chance.
You talk about all hell breaking loose. Does LSU have any chance to beat Georgia?
They got a real chance.
If they win the SEC championship, they're in. 2 losses or not.
They have a real championship to beat them. They have a real chance, to win that championship against Georgia. And this is why they got a quarterback in Jaden Daniels that can get it done. He put that team on his back in the 4th quarter. He won it in overtime. He won it with the 2-point conversion. Balls he called by Brian Kelly. And that's the other reason why they have a chance to win. You look at those coaches in the SEC. When they play against Nick Saban, now that the guy is Kirby Smart, when they play against Kirby Smart, they tend to be a little, they get a little nervous. The butthole clenches up a little bit, and they look at it across the field, and they're like, oh, that's my mentor. I can't beat this guy. Brian Kelly's not up that tree. Brian Kelly's not from that same mindset of these coaches admiring Nick Saban or admiring Kirby Smart. Brian Kelly's probably the most arrogant, conceited coach in college football. Rightfully so, not winning a championship, but he's won everywhere he's been. He doesn't care about Nick Saban, and he proved that. He doesn't care about Kirby Smart. He doesn't care about any of those other coaches in the SEC. And his team, his players are starting to notice what he's doing down there mindset-wise. LSU is a very real danger to the college football playoffs, and Georgia's undefeated in this.
Brian Kelly is definitely a wild card. He plays with house money. He don't give a damn.
He went to the SEC just to do what, man? Beat one person.
To beat Nick.
And he just beat him.
I'm telling you, on Saturday night, I got home just in time for that fourth quarter. And when they scored in overtime on Daniel's great run, right away I said, he's going for 2. No, it wasn't a question in my mind that he was going to go for the kill there. Because why are you going to give Alabama back the ball?
Right.
And even the play call. That's a ballsy play call. You got a transfer quarterback and a guy that's playing extremely well, but he's still a frail young guy. He's just a huge moment. He calls a quick play screen pass or quick play flat route. That's a ballsy call, man. Like, stuff like that, man.
It's fun to watch a game at Tiger Stadium.
Yeah,
man.
it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
Valley.
He's got them going. And this is a guy that coached Grand Valley here in Michigan. Take your hat off to the guy. He's a great coach.
He absolutely is. I don't think you can make any bones about that.
The fastest way to get everybody to buy in, the fastest way to get people on board, you beat your rivals.
I'm going to tell you right now, last week I called it that Clemson would lose to Notre Dame. I called that. This week TCU going to lose to Texas.
You think?
Not even going to be close.
Don't gloss over my LSU over Tennessee. I mean my Georgia over Tennessee. Don't gloss over me.
Georgia over Tennessee. You called it. You nailed it.
Don't gloss over
But
me.
they were the favorite.
Yeah, but everybody was over here saying Tennessee. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough.
What happened to your boy Hendon Hooker?
Exactly. See, he ran from him. He don't want to talk about it now.
No, see, I think that's where the danger comes in, guys. So I'm going to get TCU out of it. Tonight there'll be 4.
Yeah. You don't want them to win? You don't want TCU to keep going?
I don't.
Are you scared of them?
No, because I want chaos. I want anarchy.
I watched TCU again. This is actually the one week is perfect for me to speak on TCU. Because when I was coming back when I was on my way to link up with you in Ann Arbor, I was coming back. I was listening to the TCU and Texas Tech game on the phone, on the radio, whatever. I'm like, man, TCU is not good. I don't want to see TCU as a Final Four team. They should have lost to Texas Tech. I don't want to see TCU as a Final Four team. The team in the best space is Tennessee.
No doubt. So here is what I'm thinking. TCU's out of there. Okay?
Like you saying, like, when is this?
I'm saying at the end of the year. I'm going to project ahead to the end of the year.
Did you hear mine yesterday?
No.
Okay.
What was it?
I said it's going to be Georgia 1, Michigan 2. I said Oregon 3, and Tennessee 4. Is that what you have?
That's what I got.
I don't know how you guys have Oregon in, and I know you argued with me. They're a different team.
I didn't really argue with you.
I cannot believe a team that lost by 40 points to Georgia is going to make the 4. I don't see it.
I don't
if they
understand.
go unbeaten in the Pac-10.
USC will beat their ass.
Well, I'm saying if they do,
USC's not better than Oregon.
And I'll tell you, if
I'll bet you on that game.
Hey, USC. Hey, Max, hold on. Have you watched USC?
Yes, I watch them at night.
USC is struggling.
Yeah, they are struggling.
Oregon's blowing people out. Max, listen. There's a tale of 2 seasons. I keep telling you this. Like where you are in August is not who you necessarily are in December when you're playing your conference championship game. And I'm saying you're going to look at it by then. 1, they're going to get help because TCU won't be undefeated. And then 2, Oregon's a different team.
All right, here you go. You ready? This is what's going to happen.
Go ahead, Bo Nix.
Georgia's 1. Winner of Ohio State, Michigan is 2.
Yeah.
Winner of Oregon, USC is 3. And Tennessee's 4.
And agreed. And
the only thing that really kind of turns this thing on its head is if LSU beats Georgia, because then you'll have LSU come in there probably at 4.
Yeah.
Ohio State Michigan winner will be 1.
But then
you have Georgia.
Yeah, they're in there. They'll be 2 or 3.
They'll be 3.
But here's the kicker. How bad, and see, this is where the chaos comes in. How bad does LSU beat Georgia, and how bad does the team that loses between Ohio State and Michigan, how bad do they lose? Because if you're essentially looking at a Michigan-Ohio State game where, let's say, Michigan wins 45-42, and then you're looking at an LSU team that beats Georgia by 17. Well, you can no longer have Georgia in there when the team between Ohio State, like they were that close. That's where it gets hairy.
Yeah, actually, you'd have to have Georgia before, because I don't think you could, in good conscience,
knock them out of there.
You couldn't rank Georgia ahead of LSU if LSU just beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd have to go Ohio State, Michigan 1, winner of Oregon, USC 2.
Oh, really?
And then you'd have to go LSU 3, and then Georgia 4, Tennessee's out. That would be anarchy, my friend.
Let's just say LSU wins by 3, because they're not going to blow Georgia out.
Right.
So now what are you doing?
Well, I just told you.
No, Georgia only loses by 3.
I just told you.
LSU's not favored. Oh, you can't. Well, I guess you have to. I guess.
If you
LSU, can't win your knock, you can't lose your conference championship and then be ranked ahead of the team that beat you in the conference championship.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did they beat them already this year?
No.
Okay.
No.
They would play in the
and here's where it also gets hairy. LSU, and this goes to your theory. Tennessee beat the brakes off LSU early on in the year.
I wouldn't think LSU would lose. They got unranked Arkansas, UAB, and unranked.
So who
Texas
you have?
A&M.
You got Michigan against USC, Oregon in the semi.
I've got Michigan against
because 2 plays 3.
Georgia 1-4.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
Why not?
No,
I ain't scared.
No, because you're saying Georgia's gonna win, right? Georgia's gonna win out.
I'm saying if Georgia lost to LSU, Georgia lost to LSU, and you got Michigan. Let's say, just for argument's sake, Michigan wins. Michigan 1, Oregon 2, LSU 3, and Georgia 4.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have a migraine just trying to figure this out right now.
So great.
I literally have
So
a migraine
fun.
right now. Like, my migraine came back from last week
So
trying
fun.
to figure this out. That's how fun it is, but that's how you can go around and around and around and around. That's why the best thing about it is what, Ryan? It all plays out.
No doubt. We'll go back to the NFL. We'll do it next. But first, a message from the Bowling Warehouse.
In Hamtramck, Michigan, Chris Hutt invented this game of football and bowling. 2 ways to play it. $12 unlimited open play, or a private lane reservation for 2 hours, only run you $120. You can put 10 or 12 people on a lane. Any drink you want. They got multiple full bars and over 100 beers on their menu. And as far as food goes, you can bring your own in or even have it delivered. Plenty of room to spread out at the Bowling Warehouse. Get your foal on. Check them out at bowlingwarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh, wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries. What will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
What's going on, everybody? JB here, letting you know about Planet Fitness and how they are your home to your judgment-free zone where you can work out in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. The gym has always been clean, but now it is cleaner than ever. With tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes in the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. That's right, Braylon. All these memberships, you get all of this just for $10 a month.
Only $10?
Yes, $10 a month. Someone give me $10 right now so I can go.
I got you. Hold on. You got cash out?
All right. Join in club today or check them out at planetfitness.com.
So great. Having a lot of fun here. WoodwardSports.com. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. Thanks so much for making WoodwardSports.com part of your day. Time now to go around the NFL, and for that, we swing it over to our guy, Tom the Man Mazawey.
Let's start with Monday Night Football last night at the Superdome. New Orleans had their chances to stay in this game. Andy Dalton just couldn't get them there, man. And Baltimore wins this game 27-13. Not a great game, but
can I say something?
Lamar Jackson kind of playing by himself on this team.
I was gonna say, Baltimore ain't right. They're just not. They don't have anybody to help this guy out. And I feel like they're kind of wasting his career right now.
Well, it just happened, really. I mean, I agree. It seems like every year they have injuries. Last year, they were the worst injured team in the NFL. The year before that, they had a lot of injuries right around the playoff time. This year, it's no different. You know, let's start here before we blame the injuries. One, it was the secondary. Secondary was not the defense, and the secondary wasn't performing well. That's where you led to a lot of late victories early on. John Harbaugh wasn't coaching well in the fourth quarter in terms of his decision making, especially at the end of the game. And then it seemed as though after those first 3 weeks in the year, Lamar Jackson became a pressing quarterback. Like every play in the fourth quarter had to be a highlight play. It had to be a win. Like it had to be this magnificent play that so he can justify the contract that he's already justified being worth. And now the injuries are creeping in again. You get Rashad Bateman, who's the guy that started to come on for them at the wide receiver position last week. He got injured. He's out for the year. J.K. Dobbins, they've been waiting for the rush. They've been waiting for the running game to help Lamar Jackson out. You get J.K. Dobbins back, Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins is now out again. So it's the injuries that are piling on top of him pressing early on. That's why I think he got the struggles. But like you said, man, it was him versus the New Orleans Saints last night, and Lamar Jackson won.
Hey, moving on. Josh Allen got a little bit of maybe worse than we thought, an elbow injury, a UCL possible injury in his elbow. I told you earlier this week that they will play the 7-1 Minnesota Vikings coming up on Sunday. And could it be Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs against the Vikings?
That's why you get a guy like Case Keenum, right? I mean, just in case something happens. That's insurance. You hate to pay for insurance.
But it's always good when you have it, though.
Exactly. The only time you like insurance is when you need it.
Yeah, and that's a good insurance policy to have, Case Keenum. I mean, last time we saw him, he was dressing up as fans on during training camp.
That was fun.
That was amazing. But yeah, you got a guy, and Maz called it. This is the reverse Minnesota City Miracle. You know, you saw that Case Keenum was the quarterback for the Vikings. Stephon Diggs was the wide receiver for the Vikings. They get the Vikings. They get to play at the end of the game, and then after that, now they're the Bills. But the thing about that is, looking at the UCL. Man, it's going to be interesting to see when he can come back, because I never had a UCL, but I had an ACL and MCL. I know how those things work. It's just about the tightness. Like, it's all about the tightness. It's all about being able to contract and constrict. Like, when it's loose, you don't have full control when you're throwing that ball, so that quarterback motion is going to struggle.
Hey, dumb question. Going back to the Lamar Jackson for a minute. Did you hear Sean Payton last night?
Yeah.
On the Manning
He's
cast?
a free agent. I'm a free agent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What situation... Is there a team that jumps out at you right now that Lamar Jackson and Sean Payton could go team up?
Yeah, the Lions.
No, realistic. Yes,
yeah.
But give me a realistic one.
Yeah, I got a good one for you. You're looking at it right now. Look on the TV.
Tampa
Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's out. Todd Bowles, it doesn't seem like, and the team doesn't work, but it doesn't seem like Todd Bowles just can get it cracking in the NFL. I mean, you look at the Jets, they didn't give him enough time. That was the narrative. You look at now, they're struggling. It doesn't seem like the team really responds and listens to them as a head coach, as a head man. You look at that situation right there. Sean Payton, the Tampa Bay Bucks, they won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. It'll be 3 years ago by the time he takes over. I mean, Lamar's from Florida. I'm just saying.
That's a great point, Braylon. Side note: Sean Payton might be the worst hire in any television media ever in the history of
He's worse than Ray Lewis?
He is. Yeah, Ray was at least entertaining.
True.
I mean, Sean Payton is horrible on television, and they got to keep trotting him out there because they're just paying him.
Just for the rest of this year, that'll be it. He'll be coaching next year. He'll be coaching somewhere. Maybe the Cowboys will still collapse, and he can go to his old team there.
The Saints are available.
Indianapolis Colts.
Dennis Allen can't coach.
Yeah, no.
He's a failure.
100%.
He's gone after this year
the Colts,
as well.
There you go.
Remember last week I told you guys about the Sunday Night Football? About how they're going to have to flex some games. Mm-hmm. Well, they struck already. Week 11, you don't not have to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Bengals. You get the Chiefs and the Chargers instead. which is nice.
That's a hell of a game, man. You want to see that. I mean, it's coming down to this division. It's coming down to these two teams. We talked about the Broncos. We talked about the Vegas Raiders sneaking in there. It's a two-headed monster, and it's between these two teams. And the Chargers haven't been particularly good because they've been banged up. But guess what? That's what the Chargers do every year.
You know, the Chargers Chargers are a unique team because they got off to a slow start. Now all of a sudden you look at the schedule and you all of a sudden look up and you find themselves. San Diego Chargers got a pretty damn good record, 5-3, which puts them close to the postseason right now, or at least battling for a postseason spot.
Eckler's playing good now.
Austin Eckler.
Hey, look, man, he's been Eckler, okay? Because he's the only guy I have. Everybody else is letting me down. But the flip side of that, Ryan, Mike Williams, out. Keenan Allen, out. Joey Bosa, out. Like, their heavy hitters, their big dogs are all out. So, they're 5-3. It's a 5-3 where you know that they can't get it done and they don't have enough depth once you get deeper to the season.
Braylon, you've been talking about this for a while too, ever since I met you. But I mean, it's hard to not be right about it. I mean, everybody kind of knows it, but Sunday Night Football when Mahomes leads the team to a win again, and then Orlovsky tweets out, you gotta if you don't have a guy like 15 or somebody that can keep up with 15. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, you're just not going to win in the National Football League. You're not going to be a Super Bowl caliber team in the National Football League. And are the Chargers that team? Is Justin Herbert that guy that can keep up with them? Whatever the case may be. But you just look at the Detroit Lions, and there's no way that Jared Goff can be in a game going toe-to-toe with 15. It just doesn't happen. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, you forgot about the Rams and Chiefs back in the day? Monday Night Football? Did you forget that game?
I
that was the exact game.
Well, it's the game that I brought up when I said early in the preseason, when I said Jared Goff is showing you that if you put the right pieces around him, he can do that. The Monday night game where Jared Goff, I think the final score was 54-49, where he beat Patrick Mahomes. He had Ty Gurley in the backfield, Brandon Cooks on one side. So, yes, you put him in that game, but you had Aaron Donald on the other side. This is before Jalen Ramsey, but you had a damn good team around him, and he went toe-to-toe. He beat the kid. I get that, but that ain't here, and that's not what's going on right now. And a lot of things have happened since then. See, once you're at one level, like when a lot of things start happening, like that takes you further and further and further away from what you thought you were, and it's hard to go back to that and surpass that.
Hey, Kirk Cousins had himself a hell of a Sunday last week. Did you guys see him after the game? And of course, last night, Adam Schefter tried to recreate it. But here's the original from Kirk Cousins. He was whooping it up on the team plane and having himself the "you like me now" type of thing.
What a weirdo. I just don't like Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry. He's never done anything to me. I just don't like that guy.
He went to Michigan State, and that's your gripe with him. He can't win. He can't win in the Big Ten. He went to Michigan State. I disagree. Like, at the end of the day, I keep lobbying for Kirk Cousins. He wins in the regular season is what you want to see out of a guy, whether it was with Washington, who he actually got a chance to beat this past weekend. That's why he's doing that. This is the teammates. You do this stuff with your coach. Like, when you're with your teammates, you got to spend so much time together. You listen to the same music. You got your daughters play on the same teams. You're taking your sons to get haircuts at the same spot, probably. Like, you guys are friends. You guys are diving to each other's culture. I don't mind that. To watch Adam Schefter do that on Monday Night Football in the midst of everything that is going on with everything, I just think it was in poor taste, and I'll leave it at that.
Hey, Justin Fields and Tom Brady both made history.
Wait a minute. Yeah, what Sunday. The hell is he doing, by the way? Schefter.
Yeah,
Schefter's an idiot.
What a weirdo.
And the reason why I blame Adam Schefter for that moment, I think it was a cringeworthy moment. I mean, it's hip-hop. It's a lot of facets involved. I don't want to get into that. I see you over there. It's a lot of facets. I'll just say it was in poor taste for everything going on for him to do that. It was just in poor taste. If they would have presented that to me, like, hey, look, for this segment, I think that we should do this. I would have been able to say, nah, I'm good on that one. I think he could have said, I passed, but he chose to do it.
I think he just wanted to show off his.
He's been working out, though. I will give him that credit.
That's why he did it.
I give him that credit.
That's why he
has been working out. I give him credit.
Guys, sit tight. Got to take a break. More in the NFL when we come back. But first, a message from Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac. You know them. We were there on Friday. Great guys. Weston, Danny, Ali, Rita, absolutely. They took good care of us there, and they'll take good care of you. You want a car? They've got one available for you. One that you could head on into the dealership and drive off in a brand new Chevrolet or Cadillac. They've got the vehicles there. Also, pre-owned cars might be your thing. Over 300 pre-owned cars on their lot right now. All makes, all models, all years. Go ahead and check them out. LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com.
Find new roads.
Find them.
At work and at home. We're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
At Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment's got everything you need to get the job done. Have a big project coming up. Alta Rentals got you covered. Call them today at 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
Having fun on a Tuesday, Election Day in America.
Did you vote yet?
Not yet.
That's right, you get up too early.
Funny thing, Tom says, I get in Braylon and talk, election stuff going on, whatever. Matt says, you'll be glad to know that I will not watch 30 seconds of this stuff tonight. I wish, I want to be like that. I think that's a great way to be. Just put your head in the sand and go ahead and live your life.
That's it.
That's it.
I'll watch 30 for 30s. I'll watch Cobra Kai.
You'll watch the reruns of
I got my Sunday game. I got the Lion game. I'll rewatch the Lion game.
Put your head in the sand and
That's
go
it.
live your life.
I don't give a damn.
Amen.
They don't care about me, and I don't care about them.
I wish I could do that. I just can't.
I know. I say it, dude.
I wish I can.
That's what I'm saying. I envy that.
Just remember these words. They're all crooks.
I'll be glued to the cover.
That's true. I'm just in too many rooms where I get asked too many questions or it's too much conversation. I can't just go in there and be like, I haven't paid attention. I don't know. Because then it's like, well, this guy's aloof.
As it relates to sports and the voting, just one note.
Just keep out of sports.
Good for the NBA, given the taking the night off and saying, hey, we want everybody to have all the time in the world to go cast their ballot on voting day. Everybody that works for the organization, the NBA has scheduled no games tonight, and all their employees have the day off. I think that's a really, really cool thing.
I forgot. I'm going to the Wings game tonight.
You can find a way to vote.
I'm going to the Wings game
vote
tonight.
for the last 40 days, by the way.
Exactly.
Right.
So I get that. It makes them seem that way, but like if you wanted to vote, if you really wanted, you got
the last 40 days to do so.
Exactly.
We're gonna still go around the NBA or not NBA, NFL mess. We ain't done yet.
We ain't done. Justin Fields ain't done either. He's getting better by the week. Look what he did on Sunday. Looky what he can do.
Eberflus, isn't that Eberflus?
Yes.
He's got to get his defense going now.
Yeah.
He gave up back-to-back 35-point games.
Well, that's what
but the offense is starting to score. First quarterback to run for how many yards?
178.
First ever in NFL history, and the kid threw for 140 yards. 4 touchdowns for Justin Fields.
Breaks Michael Vick's record for the most rushing yards in a regular season game by a quarterback. I always say that I think the Bears' rebuild is ahead of the Lions because they have their quarterback. I'm not breaking any news. I mean, it's just how it feels, right? I mean, you got the quarterback, you're ahead of the rebuild.
Yes and no, because at the end of the day, you look at the opposite side. Man, how many points did they get up in the last 2 games?
70 and plus.
Okay, and guess who's no longer there? Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. You get rid of legitimately one of the best defensive rushers in the league and arguably the best linebacker in the league if you're not talking Fred Warner.
He played well last night.
He played amazingly. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you got your quarterback and you're close, but I think they're equal in their rebuild. Actually, I think the Lions are ahead because you look at the draft capital of the Detroit Lions moving into next year. But having Justin
Fields now after trading
Robert Quinn.
Robert
Quinn and Roquan.
Yeah, I mean they're right there, man.
Yeah.
Right there.
You're absolutely correct. And Justin Fields, to give him credit, we talked about this. A lot of people are out on Justin Fields. We talked about how negligent Matt Nagy was. Look what happens when you pay attention to why you drafted somebody. Look at when you give him a platform to use when you draft him and why you draft him. Get a guy outside the pocket. He has more success. He has more confidence in this. So shout out to Luke Getsy, who's the passing game coordinator for the Chicago Bears.
Hey, Tom Brady made some history again because he just continues to play and drove his team down 60-plus yards and beat the Rams at the end. Go ahead, Ryan. Give me the numbers.
Just another Sunday for Tom Brady. 43rd fourth quarter comeback ties Peyton Manning for the most all time. 55 game-winning drives, now the most in the NFL history books. Manning had 54. First player in NFL history with 100,000 passing yards as well. That is including playoffs.
It just seems like he's just going to consistently break records. But, outside of the record, the good thing about them, and when you get a chance to talk about it, what it was cool to see? Sometimes we forget, well, I don't because I was one, but a lot of times we forget these guys are human. These guys are amazing guys. They get paid. I think the humanity gets lost in the pay, what they make, their salary.
Yes.
He's human. He's going through a tough time. He's going through a divorce. He's going through not being able to see his kids every day when he comes home because they're going to separate. It's a tough, ugly time. To see him at that podium, to see him smiling, to see him to get a win, it was a good thing for Tom Brady. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. Yeah. I'm happy for Tom Brady to get that win because we forget that they are humans, man. He's human. He's going through a tough time. Got to win. Got a smile on his face. And I love the fact that now teams aren't like leagues, I should say. They're not so strict as it relates to cursing when you do interviews. Because I think now you see players curse more, and I think what commissioners are thinking is, hey, you know what? Guys are human. Guys are going to drop an F-bomb or guys are going to do this. We can easily bleep it out and go on. They don't have to get fined or we don't have to, no. Guys are human. So it was good to see him drop an F-bomb, get a win.
I was happy for him, too.
Yeah, I was too. Good to see Tom Brady.
It's like he got a gorilla off his back.
Yeah, so fun to watch, too, just watching on TV. Sometimes you forget. You are watching Michael Jordan. You are watching Wayne Gretzky. You are watching the greatest player ever to do this one thing, and it just happens to be in your lifetime. It is a privilege to be able to, you might sound corny to you, but it's a privilege to watch people like that. It's a privilege to watch the greatest of all time at anything do something. It's happening right before our eyes, and he continues to be one of the best. What's he leading the league in passing this year? Somewhere close to that, I think. Yeah.
Guess how many interceptions he has?
0.
Again, I tell you.
You know who else is having a hell of a year?
Second in passing, 58 yards behind Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. He's 43 years old.
Yards.
And you know who he's ahead of? Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert.
Oh, and guess what?
Please.
Julio Jones has been ineffective all year. Godwin has been nursing the injury. He's been in and out. Mike Evans missed a game, and frankly, when he's played, he's had some situations. He's missed some things. So he's dealing with Scotty Miller. Has dropped a bunch of passes for them. They don't even know who he's throwing the ball to half the time, but yet still, where's Tom? At the end of the game, he's always right there with a chance to win it.
I bet you he would love to have Tyreek Hill on his team.
I bet you he loves.
Look at these numbers, guys. He leads the NFL in receiving yards. When I say the NFL, look at the teams he's leaving.
Cowboys, Steelers, Falcons, Texans, Giants, Bears, Ravens, and Titans. Tyreek Hill has more yards this season than those teams.
Yes, those teams.
And you know who's not far behind? His teammate Jalen Waddle has more yards this season than the Bears, Ravens, and Titans teams.
Yeah.
Who's the quarterback there?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, yeah. that guy. Hey, easy. Who's mid now?
Hey. And how about, is that Mike McDaniel, man?
He's out there.
Isn't he cool, though, man?
Yeah, he's out there.
That dude is cool, giving Jalen or Josh, what's his name? The Bears quarterback.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields saying, will you stop doing that? Will you stop scrambling?
That's dope, man. Like he's a part of these younger coaches, this new energy. Like coaches are confused. Not confused. They're infused now. Like Mike McDaniel seems like that cool cat. wears like the little fitted beanie in the off season, man. He's kicking
Frosted
it. He's
tip.
listening to Logic. He's listening to some hip hop, etc. But you got to give it to him. What was the first thing he did when he got the gig when he was on the G5? What did he talk about? Who did he call?
He called his man.
Called Tua Tagovailoa, and he said, "Look, I'm not interested in all this other stuff." He said, "We're gonna win. We're gonna put the pieces around you to get this job done. I believe in you. Let's rock and roll." Same thing Nick Sirianni said. Stop trying to talk about what Jalen Hurts isn't. Let's start meeting these guys halfway. Let's start meeting these guys where they are and build around them. Now you build around them. Who's the number one most efficient quarterback in the NFL right now? Who's the number one at QBR?
He might be MVP.
It's Tua Tagovailoa. What is their record when he's played at least to the fourth quarter? They're undefeated.
Jalen Hurts might be MVP of the NFC.
Alabama versus Alabama.
Hey guys,
can I just say, give me Bryce Young, please?
Thank you.
When we come back, I want to show you what the current NFL playoff picture looks like. Tomorrow, we're going to give you our predictions at the midway point.
All right.
Let you know what those are. Maybe we should just go one day at a time over the next Wednesday, Thursday. Or we'll figure it out. We'll pick it apart.
Yeah,
we'll pick it apart.
Stop telling them all our secrets.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You're giving away
more
all the
secrets.
good stuff.
We're going to give away the current playoff picture right now as it stands. If you like it, any changes you see. But first, a message from Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Lady Jane's, it is a wicked awesome place, an award-winning place to come get your haircut. Register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Welcome back. Final segment of the program. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, and Tom Mazawey, Fletch Flannel. Guys, let's pop up the current NFL playoff picture.
Playoffs?
Right now, playoffs. What are the intriguing? Focus on the left side of this first. In the AFC, the Jets, Dolphins, and Chargers are the wild card. I think the division winners are going to be the division winners. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Tennessee. I don't see a scenario in which any of those teams right now, sans some sort of injury.
You missed out on one.
Who?
You said Baltimore is going to be the division champ there.
Maybe Cincinnati wins that?
It's Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's Cincinnati. Cincinnati's because the way they're playing now, they're starting to come together. It's 4 wins in a row. They're efficient. And this is minus Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase will be back. They're good enough to win without him. Look what they're finding again in Joe Mixon. Sometimes when your star player goes out, it allows the quarterback to refocus on the other players in the offense, and they're starting to get it done. Cincinnati, I think, is going to win that division. I think I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Okay, and that's where I was going to ask about Cincinnati, because this is one of the teams that even is in the mix, in the conversation for it. Does Baltimore just go completely out here then, unless they're the division winner? Because, I mean, are the Jets falling back? Are the Miami Dolphins falling back? Are the Chargers going to fall back?
Dolphins might steal the division from Buffalo before
they could, absolutely.
Especially with his injury now to Josh Allen.
Yeah, it depends how bad that is.
The Dolphins are definitely in place. Imagine if the Buffalo Bills went from preseason Super Bowl champs, preseason MVP, preseason all this, Ryan Ermanni and all of us at one point. Can the Buffalo Bills go undefeated? Imagine if they fall out of playoffs. Because you see the Jets just beat them head-to-head. The Dolphins have beat them head-to-head. Josh Allen is injured. We don't know how bad the injury is. Imagine all of that to not making the playoffs.
I think the Eagles could go undefeated, by the way.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I think they can go undefeated. I think their schedule is very favorable. Any given Sunday, sure, but they've only got 2 games left on their schedule.
And they do everything good. And when I say that, I'm not saying they do some things good, they do other things okay. No, they do everything good. They run the ball good. They block great. Their quarterback is damn near great now. Like, he's at that point, he's almost great. On defense, there's nothing they don't do great on defense. Nothing. That's tough. Like, you're like, where's my weakness? Where's the angle? Like, where do I attack? Where's the soft spot? There isn't one.
I mean, I got them 14-0 for sure. And then at Dallas.
You know what that means,
on
right?
Christmas Eve.
Washington beats them on Monday Night Football coming up.
Fair enough. On the NFC side of this, you've got division leaders right now: Philadelphia, Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay.
They'll win that division going away.
At 8-9.
No, they'll win 10 games.
They'll cruise.
They'll win 10 games.
Wild card teams: San Francisco, the Giants, and Dallas. Any issues with that? I mean,
I think San Fran can win the division.
I do too. I want to say that the 2 teams I want to say that I feel like are gonna fall back are Seattle for some reason. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for me to fully buy into Seattle, but I feel like Seattle could fall out of it. And I feel like the Giants could fall out of it. Seattle less so than the Giants.
Seattle hasn't won that game that you believe in. Seattle hasn't gone to Kansas City and beaten Patrick Mahomes. Seattle hasn't played Josh Allen before he got hurt and beat Josh Allen. Seattle hasn't dominated the Dallas Cowboys. Like, Seattle doesn't have that one win where you can point to and say, that's it. It's just a lot of those almost wins. I mean, it's a lot of those. They're winning, but this team has this and doesn't have that. It's a lot of the team. When you're looking at the teams they're beating, you're nitpicking on who that team is.
Honestly, if you look at those teams in the NFC, I think those may be the teams that make the playoffs because there's no. I mean, are you a buyer in the Atlanta Falcons this year at 4-5 on the year?
They play hard.
Are you a buyer in them?
I wouldn't buy them.
Are you going?
I would buy them as much as I'm buying the Giants.
Okay, but they got Giants got a 2-game lead on them, is what I'm saying.
Right, but
for a wild card.
I agree, but once again, you got 9 weeks of the season left.
I know,
and I'm telling you, hey, when things get a little cold outside. I know. Figure it out.
I would just say I'm more of a believer that the Giants could get there with a 2-game lead.
Yeah.
Then
me too.
I'm not about buyer in the Rams, Cardinals, Saints, Packers. There's nobody else other than Washington. I told you about Taylor Heineke. I like Taylor Heineke.
He threw that game away.
I know, but Taylor Heineke is a guy that maybe again. There's no team in the NFC that could.
They lost.
Yeah,
get them out of here.
Fine, but they're 4-5 is what I'm saying.
But they stink.
Just looking at teams that could potentially somehow make a run. Those teams
if you're gonna say Taylor Heineke, if you're gonna say, you know what, if you're gonna say Taylor Heineke and the Washington Commanders, I raise you the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff.
I mean,
I raise you.
I'm just I'm not saying that Washington is going to get.
I'm just saying they're 2 games.
Washington and Atlanta with 5 losses are teams that could. I guess
I said that to show you how ridiculous that sounds.
NFC is very bad.
Very bad.
It's horrible.
Very bad.
Actually,
Minnesota is 7-1, and I don't trust them.
No,
actually,
they win with mirrors.
The entire NFC is bad.
Yeah,
I think this has been a bad season, to be honest with you. I
talked about it. No, remember we talked about it. We said, in terms of all the expectations on this season, we've talked about this was the most anticipated NFL season ever.
Yeah.
Ever. At the halfway point, there's a lot of people that want their money back for their subscriptions. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Who's the Thursday night game, by the way? I think it's one of the worst games of the year. I don't
Carolina is it because I saw their black uniforms. Yeah, so they're all
Carolina
blacks.
Against who?
I wouldn't even show those. I wouldn't even debut a uniform as cold as that if my team
Carolina
was as bad
and the
Falcons. That is ugly.
So
and
I mean,
ugly.
again, that's how the Falcons stay in this thing by playing
Their
teams
division.
like Carolina, right?
They play their division.
All right, we gotta get out of here, Bray.
Hell of a week, Ryan. Good to have you back, JB Fletch. You guys are crushing it. I see you. I watch you. I see the work that you're putting in. Believe in you. Hey, Maz, good stuff. Good stuff today. The rest of the week, let's let's get after it a little bit, man. Let's stop playing fluff. We're getting to the halfway of the season in the NFL. I'm talking about in terms of being nice and fuzzy.
Oh,
I'm not talking. Get that.
You
out
weren't
of your
nice
head.
and fuzzy
Dude,
to
you
me.
guys got after
You said
it
what?
today.
You weren't nice
crazy.
and fuzzy to me.
What do you mean I wasn't nice and fuzzy to you? Like, at the end of the day, man, it's like, look, you got to stop being a fan. Like, we do a show. Like, when I come on
Stop
here
being
to do
a fan,
you got to
man.
stop being a fan.
Come
You
on,
got
man.
to approach it from
Stop
a
being a
non-biased.
fan.
I said the Seahawks are better than the Lions.
No, what you said was, you said, well, you can't talk about their underman. Look, they're 6-3. They're still
Don't
underman based off what that was. You know what? We're out of here, man. Great show. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz.
We'll just do the show on text
I'll
instead.
see you guys tomorrow.